With the current match between the MSBY Black Jackals and the Schwein Adlers entering the halfway point, we still have plenty of time to speculate on what awaits us beyond this battle. In my previous Haikyu discussion, I talked about why the Olympics should be the final arc of the story. Considering where we are in the manga, along with the people who are expecting the possible additions to the national team, it's looking more than likely that the Olympics will be the definitive end to this journey. And with that, we have to ask ourselves, who would make Japan's national team? In this video, using what we know after chapter 369 to the most recent chapter in the manga, I'll be creating my own version of what I believe is not only the strongest, but the most likely team to represent Japan at the Olympics. The time is almost near for the story's end, but first let's get to creating Japan's national team for the Olympics. Let's go. Before we get started, we have to understand exactly how many people are able to make the roster for professional volleyball teams. In high school, the typical number is between 12 to 13 players per roster. When it comes to professional teams in real life, roster sizes could go up to 24 per team. That's at least twice the amount of what we saw during the high school phase of the Haikyuu story. Upon further research, Olympic teams permit 12 players per roster, 6 on the court and 6 on the bench. So in essence, this will be similar to the previous creative team videos that I've done in the past for both the anime and the manga. Only this time it will be a team comprised of the absolute best the story has to offer to date. Some characters might not make the list due to either quitting volleyball or because they aren't at the level to realistically represent Japan at the national level. With that being said, let's get into the starting lineup. As we know with team setups, it comprises of a setter, 2 middle blockers, 3 wing spikers, one of them of course playing the role of an opposite, and a libero. The main setter for Japan's national team, without question, will be Tobio Kageyama. Of all the setters we've seen throughout the story, he is the most obvious choice to start. While you have other talented setters in the likes of Asumu Miya and Toro Oikawa, Kageyama has demonstrated immense growth in his game coming out of high school that sets himself apart from the rest. He represented Japan's under-19s in the 2016 Olympics and was hailed as the rookie to watch out for moving forward. Even in the V-League, he is at the top of the rankings when it comes to setters, edging out Atsumu. Given his role as the protagonist of the story and his connection to Hinata, it goes without question that he'll not only just make the team, but he'll be a key factor to their push for a gold medal as a starter. The middle blockers in the starting lineup I have are the captains of both the Black Jackals and the Adlers, and those guys are Shugo Mien and Fukuro Hirugami. Shugo and Fukuro will add a lot to this national team with their experience as both captains and the time that they spent in the V-League. Both of these players have their own epithet that they go by, which are the Iron Wall and Spider Hands respectively. Normally players with such nicknames are ones to look out for, alongside their roles as veterans for their respective teams. It's one thing to win with a group of young players, but experienced talents are a key component to adding balance to a side looking to win it all. And there are no better players suited for those positions better than Shugo and Fukuro. The libero I have penciled in at the moment is Montoya Komori. While I could have gone with more experienced options in Toshiro Heiwajima of the Adlers and Shion Inunaki of the Black Jackals, Komori makes the most sense to have as the starting libero of the national team. Highly regarded as the best libero during his time in high school in the media, you have to imagine that Komori has continued to be a top level talent after his time at Itachiyama. He currently plays for the Eastern Japan Paper Mills Raijin team in Division 1 of the V-League, alongside Rentaro Suna and Tatsuki Washio. Considering that Division 1 has the best talent in their respective groups within the V-League, it goes without question that talent from there have a higher chance to make the national team over those playing in Divisions 2 and 3. While I understand the whole show and tell aspect when it comes to recruiting talent, since Komori is in the rare case that we never really actually saw him play outside of a training camp, his status as the best libero back in the day is enough claim for me to consider him worthy of taking the top spot as Japan's libero. If I had to consider another option that could have contended with Komori's spot, it would have been Yaku. However, since he along with a few other characters have yet to show up in the time skip as of chapter 392, I'm holding off on him as an option if he had retired after high school. For now, the one who will hold down things on the defensive side of the ball for Japan is Montoya Komori. The wing spikers are the ones I have the most to discuss about, so let's begin with the first one. Based on their reputation throughout high school and how I view them as the best of the 3 aces, I have Kiyomi Sakuza taking one of the wing spiker starting positions. The ace of Itachiyama Academy and the recent MVP of the Japan National Collegiate Championship, Sakuza is a fitting choice to take one of the wing spiker positions. After the time skip, it's revealed by Akashi that Sakuza's most outstanding quirk were his flexible wrists. With every snap of his wrist, not only can he do precise shots, he can also add a hard to receive spin on the ball. This makes it a nightmare for his opponents to judge how to approach him whenever they're tasked with blocking him. as he has new avenues to penetrate defenses with to create scoring options. This position has some of the most talented players we've seen in the story, and if there was a guarantee on who would be among those three to represent Japan at the Olympics, Sakaza will be among them. The next wing spiker alongside Sakaza is the new little giant in the story, Korai Hoshiumi. This wasn't easy to overlook the likes of Ushijima, who is hailed as Japan's big cannon. Bokuto, when he's playing at his best, is just as good as the three aces during their time in high school, and the rest who represent the most stacked position of this sport. Hoshiumi earned the moniker of the Little Giant during his time at Nationals. A specialist on both offense and defense, he's someone that will be a reliable option to Japan's team when they need him in any situation. The push that Furudate is given to Hoshiumi's character from his debut to Karasuno vs Kawamadai until now has established him as a critical component to the latter half of the story. This Olympics arc in a way is to highlight the future of Japan. Not to say that the others haven't, but we've known guys like Bokuto and Ushijima a lot longer than Hoshiumi. With the way the direction of the story is going, it's shaping up for Hoshiumi to be a major part of Japan's run towards a gold medal. And to save the best for last is the one who will play as the third wing spiker, or in better words, the opposite, is the greatest decoy, Hinata Shoyo. When we look back at the story after its conclusion and revisit Hinata's journey from chapter 1 until the end, his crowning moment will be winning a gold medal for Japan as a starter for the national team. It goes without question that he has seen his game grow to new heights that set him apart from the kid he was yesterday to the man that he is now today. To the point where one can argue that he's not only among the best in Japan currently, but potentially in the world come the time of the Olympics if he elevates his craft in the next 15 months. The only thing hinging onto that statement coming true is if we do end up getting the Olympics, even if we only get to see the finals. However, I'm a firm believer that he'll be among the best to come in the summer of 2020, given not just his role as our main lead, but how Furudate has shown us throughout the time skip the ways he's improved as a player as realistic as possible. If we use Furudate's statistics rankings that measure the areas for every Haikyuu character's overall game, this is what Hinata's was prior to Nationals. Him playing beach volleyball for a spell made him better in both his game sense and his technique attributes, which were viewed as the true weak points of him as a player. Thus, where he was originally a 1 out of 5 in those categories mentioned, the way the manga is presenting him now makes it that he is more grounded in those areas than ever before, leading me to believe he's around at least a 4 out of 5 for game sense and technique. While Hinata's power isn't among the likes of Ushijima, Sakaza, or Kiryu, it's enough for him to get by defenses along with his usage of dinks, tips, and ultimately seeing the width of the court to concentrate his spikes towards whether it be a cross or a straight spike. Thus, while his power would only garner a 3 out of 5 rating, it could rise with enough training before the Olympics. All in all, Hinata, who is currently playing the role of an opposite in his debut match with the Black Jackals, will see that as his permanent position for Japan's national team, as he is now a more refined talent worthy of donning the jersey of the land of the rising sun. With the starting lineup created, we now have to fill out the bench to complete our 12-man roster. The first name off the bench would be Kotaro Bokuto. A quality trait about Bokuto, aside from his sheer talent as a spiker, is his ability to ride the momentum he's given when he's at the top of his game. The energy that Bokuto brings to a team is out of this world. You can go from during a cold streak to being the hottest thing on the planet just by Bokuto simply finding his groove. And whenever he gets serious, he plays at the level of a top 3 ace. The reason I had him missing out on the starting lineup comes down to his cold streaks. Whenever things aren't going his way, he tends to take a step back, which hinders him from utilizing his full potential. Thus, by having him coming off the bench when they need a spark of energy is where he's best fitted on this national team. The second wing spiker that I have coming off the bench is Wakatoshi Ushijima. He was always going to make the national team, and just like Bokuto, he would bring not only just his ferocity as a spiker, but creating a momentum shift during matches that can decide them in a hurry. His left-hand spikes make him a unique and tough opponent to cover, as receivers are accustomed to facing against mostly right-handed spikers. Viewed by the media as Japan's main cannon, Ushijima can be seen in a similar role to that of a closer in baseball when they need someone to close out games. Just picture the opposition that are tired from playing 5 full sets and they have to encounter the likes of Ushijima, who could end the game with his powerful spikes that made him earn the epithet of the super ace during his time as Shiratorizawa. And having him play the role of a closer at the end of the game is the best way to show his dominance when he comes out to finish them. The last of the wing spikers coming off the bench to represent Japan is none other than Wakatsu Kiryu. If you thought I wasn't going to include the top 3 aces in this roster, think again. Especially with the man I've hailed as the Dragon of Oita, in homage to him being the namesake of my favorite character in the Yakuza series, the Dragon of Dojima, Kazuma Kiryu. But aside from that, Kiryu has displayed his worth during his match against Furudate back in Nationals, and his talent is undeniable. His powerful spikes rival the legs of Ushijima and Sakuza. He's known for having formidable leg strength due to the emphasis that Munjinazaka puts on their students during their physical training. Even when hitting subpar tosses, Kiryu is able to maximize the strength of his spikes without losing precision. Other key traits to his game include his very powerful spike serve and being very proficient at receiving. Having the legs of Munjinazaka's ace off the bench for Japan is another weapon many teams must watch out for if the Dragon of Oita steps on the court. The two middle blockers that I have now joined the bench are Yudai Hyakuzawa and Rintaro Suna. Both players are currently in Division 1, with Hyakuzawa playing for the Japan Railway Warriors, while Suna plays alongside Komori and Washio on the Eastern Japan Paper Mills Raijin team. Hyakuzawa changed positions from a wing spiker to a middle blocker after the time skip. Standing at 6'8", his height is almost perfect to defend the front lines. He was considered a raw talent back in high school, and given he's ascended to playing in Division 1, you have to imagine that his game has grown tremendously to get to that level. In Rintaro Suna's case, he was considered the number 2 weapon behind Oran Ojiro at Inarizaki, the latter of which who only barely missed out on making the roster. Suna continues to play middle blocker of Raijin, and considering he's one of the few players in this position that we know of currently in Division 1, he's more than likely to make the roster. He was viewed as a slow starter, and when his team took comfortable leads, he would tend to slack off. However, I don't envision him having that trait with him in his professional days, especially alongside two workhorses in Washio and Komori. The last spot on the roster is the backup setter, and the one to fill that position is Atsumu Miya. Kageyama is a monster in his own right, and the same can surely be said for Atsumu. Back in the day, Atsumu was the best setter among all the high schools across Japan. Since junior high, Atsumu was destined to shine on the national level. Having joined the MSBY Black Jackals and providing tosses to the likes of Hinata, Bokuto, Sakuza, Meien, Thomas, Atsumu is surrounded by top-level talent to unlock not only his own game, but increase the value in his spikers. While some may feel that Oikawa has a shot to make the team, Atsumu for me has more leverage over him with his prior stats in high school along with playing in Division 1 of volleyball. Kageyama and Atsumu are virtually 1 and 2 in the setter rankings, so it only makes sense that you bring your top 2 to the Olympics. And thus we have what I believe is the best team to represent Japan in the Olympics. If we're only to get the finals and not the entire true arc showcasing the Olympics from start to finish, when looking at a team like this, they have the potential to win gold. As a bonus, the team I can see facing them in the finals would be Brazil, as it would bring everything back full circle from the beginning of the end of the story with the Brazil trip, having to face the country that Hinata went on his journey to elevate his game. But I'm curious to know what you guys think down in the comment section below in regards to this team that I have assembled that could represent Japan at the Olympics. If you have your own starting lineups and your bench, your own roster, all that, leave them down in the comments below and I'll definitely go and check them out. Like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new here. If you want to be part of the weekly experience when it comes to my coverage of the Haikyuu Haikyuu week in and week out, subscribe if you haven't already, click on the bell of Shandora to stay up to date with everything that goes on the channel. And with that being said, I will catch you guys in the next Haikyuu video. Commodore lad signing off, thank you so much for watching, and as always, take care. Going crazy, yeah, we going